Come, sit with me for a moment. The world outside is loud, fast, and impatient, but in this quiet room, time slows down. I'm 80 years old, and when you reach this age, you stop chasing what shines and start noticing what stays. I'm not here to lecture or impress you. I'm here because after everyone leaves, after the noise fades, after the house grows still, you finally understand what truly remains. Stay with me for a few minutes. This is something no one tells you until it's almost too late. Good morning, my friend, or good evening wherever you are. Come, sit with me on this old wooden porch. The sun is just beginning to peek through the mist, lifting the fog off the ancient oaks that have stood here longer than I have. I sat here this morning, coffee in hand, watching that slow reveal, and it struck me like a quiet thunder. I am 80 years old. 80. 8 decades on this spinning blue marble. In the stillness of this house now, the silence isn't merely absence. It's a vast library filled with echoes. Laughter from long ago, arguments that faded into apologies, the creak of floorboards under feet that no longer walk these halls. Over these 80 years, I've witnessed the world transform in ways I could never have imagined as a boy. Cars gave way to jets, letters to instant messages, black and white televisions to screens that fit in your palm. But more profound than any invention has been the slow, relentless departure of the people I loved most. My parents went first, then my siblings, one by one. Oldest friends followed, their voices silenced forever. And finally, the one person I believed would be holding my hand until the very last breath, my spouse, my partner through half a century of joy and storm. They are all gone now. When you reach this milestone, you become something of a ghost in a world designed for the young. You watch them rush by, hurrying to meetings, scrolling endlessly, fretting over deadlines and dramas that, from my vantage point, resemble tiny grains of sand slipping through fingers. People look at me sometimes with that soft pity in their eyes. They ask, "Grandpa, what is it like to be so old?" Or they say, "It must be lonely," assuming that being the last one standing is nothing but tragedy. But let me tell you a secret that no one reveals until you arrive here yourself. There is a profound beauty in it. When everything external is stripped away, possessions, positions, even people, what remains is not emptiness, it's truth. Pure, unfiltered truth. If you're younger than me, lean in closer. If you're my age or near it, pull up a chair beside me. Let me share with you today the things that do not leave. The things that endure when the house falls quiet, when the telephone stops ringing, when the chairs around the dinner table stay forever empty. First, I learned that we never truly own anything or anyone. In my 40s and 50s, I was convinced my life was measured by what I had built. A successful career in engineering. I designed bridges that still stand today. A beautiful house with a garden I tended meticulously. A reputation in my community as a reliable, hard-working man. I guarded these things fiercely, as if they were eternal. But now, at 80, I hold out my weathered hands and see they are empty. And strangely, that emptiness feels okay, even liberating. The houses I poured my heart into have been sold to strangers. The bridges I engineered are maintained by people who never knew my name. My professional legacy? It's been forgotten by generations born long after I retired. What remains isn't the plaque on the wall or the trophy gathering dust on the shelf. It's the character I forged in the pursuit, the integrity, the perseverance, the quiet determination that no one can take away. The same is true of people. I used to think I owned my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. but they were only on loan to us, entrusted for a season. We are merely stewards of their presence for a little while. When I stopped clinging desperately to keep them forever and instead simply experienced them, their laughter, their quirks, their warmth, the grief transformed. Losing them no longer felt like being robbed. It became profound gratitude for the precious loan of their lives intersecting with mine. What truly remains is the love you gave away freely. That's the only currency that doesn't depreciate, doesn't rust, doesn't get auctioned off at an estate sale. The hugs I gave my children when they were small, the patient listening I offered my wife during hard times, the small acts of service, those echo eternally. When you're young, life feels like a series of grand milestones. You chase the wedding day, the big promotion, the exotic vacation, the house with the picket fence. You spend decades gazing at the distant horizon, waiting for the peak moments that will finally make you happy. But I've come to see that life isn't composed of those mountaintops. It's the long, winding walk in the valleys between them that forms the real journey. If I could whisper to my younger self, I wouldn't say, work harder for more success. I'd say, notice more. Linger longer over that morning coffee, savoring its warmth. Listen to the birdsong with full attention, identifying each call. Watch the rain patter on the window without rushing to the next task. Smell the earth after a storm. Hold a child's hand a little tighter. These small, seemingly insignificant nothings, they turn out to be everything. At the end of 80 years, what remains is a private collection of these quiet beauties. The way sunlight danced on my wife's hair one ordinary afternoon in 1972. The sound of my son's first laugh. The taste of fresh bread baked on a snowy day. The feel of soil under my fingers in the garden. No one can take those from me. One of the most challenging aspects of outliving everyone is the solitude. My generation was raised to stay busy, work hard, raise families, volunteer, fill every hour. But when the children moved away to build their own lives, when friends began passing, I was suddenly alone with a stranger, myself. Most people spend their entire lives running from that confrontation. They fill the air with noise, radios, televisions, endless chatter, work, parties, anything to drown out their inner voice. But at 80, running isn't an option anymore. The knees creak, the energy wanes. So you sit. And in that enforced stillness, I discovered a reservoir of strength I never knew existed. What remains is your internal fortress, the relationship you've built, or failed to build, with yourself. If you arrive here without knowing who you are beneath the roles and distractions, old age can be terrifying. Avoid staring back. But if you've cultivated self-companionship along the way, it becomes a sanctuary. I've learned to enjoy my own company. I've forgiven the young man I was at 25, impulsive, arrogant at times. I've made peace with the 50-year-old who made mistakes in parenting and marriage. What remains is a gentle peace with the face in the mirror. You realize you've been your own best friend all along. You just didn't recognize it amid the noise. Do I have regrets? Of course. Only a fool or a liar claims a blameless life. But at 80, I've learned the distinction between regret and remorse. Regrets are for opportunities missed, risks not taken, adventures postponed, dreams shelved for someday. I regret not traveling more when my body was strong. I regret the words of love I swallowed because of pride or fear. But remorse, that's deeper, more painful. It's for the times I wasn't kind. We invest such energy in being right, winning arguments, holding grudges, defending egos. I remember harsh words spoken in anger that I can never retract. As I crossed name after name out of my old address book, it hit me. Being right is the coldest, loneliest victory imaginable. Kindness was always the right answer, no matter the disagreement. If there's someone in your life today, a spouse, a child, a friend, even an old rival, pick up the phone. Call not to prove a point or settle a score, but simply to say, "I'm glad you're here. I'm grateful for you." Because one day, the line will go silent forever, and no score will matter. There's a strange grace in observing the world move forward without you. I watch teenagers glued to their glowing devices, inventing new slang, buzzing with frantic energy. At first, it stirred bitterness in me, the sense of being left behind, irrelevant. But then understanding dawned. That's exactly how it should be. What remains for me now is the role of witness. I'm here to observe the eternal cycle turning once more. When I look into my grandson's bright eyes, I see echoes of my father's gaze staring back, the same curiosity, the same spark. I understand now that I'm merely one small stitch in an immense, ongoing tapestry of humanity. Thank you for joining me on this porch for a while. Your presence made the morning warmer. If these words touched something in you, share them with someone you love. Let them know they're cherished. And if you'd like more reflections like this on the journey we're all walking, consider subscribing. Most of all, leave a comment below. Tell me, what is one thing you've learned to cherish more deeply as you've grown older? I read every single one. They make this quiet house feel a little less empty, a little more alive.